Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be BotTato taking on WickedBot in a TVT, but more importantly, bot versus bot match. I've previously cast these two, and I really enjoyed the game, so I'll be happy to watch them go at it again, particularly as it looks like we've got a different build from WickedBot, and WickedBot has always been a sort of one-build wonder, so this is an exciting development. Just further proof that these bots are being worked on all the time by the authors. We are here on Torches today, so ladies and gentlemen, if we can get one like for every HP on this Zerg rock, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member. There's a link in the description down below, and there's also links like if you want to try your hand at programming a bot or what. Anyway, there's good things in the description. And yes, let's see, as BotTato does see it's up against multiple early barracks detected. As a bot author, you do have to put in certain legwork to react to cheeses, as it's one of those things, like, you can in theory program a bot that just plays a standard build, and we have good examples of that, of bots that aren't too reactionary but just play it safe. But at some point, having like a scout and then a reaction to at least pivot your build, even if it's like a generic reaction, I think is probably worth it. Like deciding expansion timings, that kind of thing. BotTato is moving out with its Reaper. However, it's going to run headfirst into the Reapers of WickedBot, and it will be outnumbered. Grenades get tossed on tail, but oh man, the pathing on torches almost makes BotTato lose that Reaper. Fortunately, it does get on out of there, and heading back home is the best decision for the Red Terran bot. We've got a bunker going up on the high ground. The door actually gets closed on its own Reaper, so the doorman is a traitor who has it out for that Reaper, apparently. We do see WickedBot struggling to get its Reaper up this cliff. One does make it up, throws down a grenade, and a bit of fancy footwork, only for the Reaper to potentially die going up. Yeah, so a little bit of bugging around the cliff there for WickedBot. However, I'm not sure it'll get too much done regardless, seeing as how BotTato has reacted based off that initial scout building the bunker on the high ground, and then it's getting out a tank. Oh, an SCV almost goes down, but not quite. So a good defense by BotTato. WickedBot behind this, though, isn't letting it get down, as it's got a command center going up in the main base and another command center going up in the main base. 3 CCs by the 3-minute mark. Meanwhile, BotTato's own expansion is delayed a significant amount. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be just the cheese itself getting direct damage. Sometimes just the threat of the cheese can slow your opponent down and put you in a good position. And in a minute here, WickedBot's economy is going to be very good compared to that of BotTato's. BotTato's Reaper had a chance to kill that Marine, but does let it live, feeling generous, I suppose. And yeah, the fact that WickedBot already has a 3rd CC finishing up now, it's got a slight worker lead. That is really good for the Blue Terran. We're getting an incredible amount of bio produced now as well. No factory from WickedBot yet, but it's just producing Marines off of 3 barracks, getting stim pack on the way. I'm not sure if WickedBot will actually attack in without upgraded with Marines that don't have upgrades or medivacs to support them, but who knows? There would be potential for something like that, as this command center of BotTato is floating to the low ground. A much worse economy for the Red Terran. WickedBot is building 2 SCVs at a time. Can't build a 3rd because that command center is currently floating on over. And that's something that's important to look at. When you look at these bots, you can see just how their economies function, what the author prioritized. You can tell little things like is the bot always building SCVs up to a certain point? Or is it more dynamic based off what's scouted? Or does it prioritize units, as we're seeing with BotTato right now? It's building nothing but units. As it just fires up another SCV, we are getting an orbital command at that natural, but WickedBot's got a solid economic lead. It's got a just comical amount of Marines at this point. 29 Marines and climbing. That is a lot of firepower for WickedBot. BotTato is going to have to fight under its tanks if it's going to have a chance to take on that Blue Terran's army. And yeah, we do get a third on the way for BotTato in a bit of a risky position here. This base is always in the attack path, pretty much. So expanding to this location would be the better choice there. Again, I'm not sure how the bot author goes about choosing what locations they expand to. Some bot authors hard code it, some use dynamic programming. But that is something to consider. And if WickedBot was attacking right now, this command center would most certainly be killed or canceled, I believe. So lucky there for BotTato. We do have a random Viking flying around as the slow Marines are chasing after it. It's a good scout, but it's not going to get anything done, really. And yeah, it's funny how WickedBot took a very unsuccessful cheese, but came out with a nice economy behind it. We've got 54 SCVs to 38 right now, and then just an incredible army for the Blue Terran. SCVs coming out to repair the Viking is interesting. That may be a good example of why you want leash range on certain aspects, as the SCV and the Viking skedaddle on out of there. WickedBot is moving across the map, going for that big attack. BotTato better get its tanks into position. It's got 3, which is a decent army. Are the tanks and the Marines going to get set up? They're sieging up, but they are far, far away from the base, too far back to even shoot the Marines of WickedBot. 1 tank, 2 tanks are now shooting, but all the buffer for them has gone down. Still, though, the tank fire is enough to make WickedBot reconsider the situation, as a lot of that bio is in the red as well. So BotTato may just hold on to this base and drive the Blue Terran back. A very precarious situation. The Viking of BotTato still alive, but the base gets lifted off. It's like, can I land again? Yeah, probably. The tanks should definitely move forward for BotTato, and they are, so that's good to see. But still, supply-wise, things are looking mighty rough for the Red Terran. All of its buffer died there. The upgrades, I mean, there is an upgrade lead on the way for WickedBot. It's got a slower 1-1, but BotTato's got the quicker +1, so depending on the timings, that could be good or bad. All I know is right now, BotTato should not be moving out for an attack, but it's going to try, and we'll see. Maybe it can make a miracle happen, but you probably want to go home with those tanks, BotTato. I did want to say, part of the reason why I am casting a WickedBot game is that it was perhaps the most notable bot that didn't quite make it into the wildcard qualifier of pro bots. And yeah, so it's just a very good bot that's worth highlighting, as it's actually battling it out in the first division, which is very respectful. Now we've got the 4 tanks sieging up again. Tanks are the predator of Terran bio units as they just run on in. Bots have a difficult time dealing with those siege tanks, and yeah, very successful defense by the Red Terran. This is where WickedBot would do better off with a drop or something like that. So it's a little strange that it hasn't gone for one of its iconic moves like that. And this is giving BotTato the chance to come back in the game. Cost efficiency is good for the Red Terran. The losses have been very minimal, all things considered. And now there's a 4th on the way, so that economic advantage will get nullified the more bases that each bot takes. Like a 1 base lead when you're on 2 bases and your opponent is on 3 is huge. When it's like 4 versus 5 or 5 versus 6, it's much less of a difference. But we're actually having BotTato move in and get aggressive. We'll see if WickedBot fails to deal with these tanks once again, as BotTato's, yeah, it's going for it. We did actually have a drop landing towards the 4th of BotTato. It's turning into a planetarium. Not sure it will live that long, though, as the bio is quite powerful with the +1 attack. No building armor on this PF. SCVs are coming in. They may actually buy enough time for this PF to finish, which could potentially change the math. But, pardon my observing. I think we might have missed some action on the front there. I'm just going to rewind to see. Yeah, the tanks actually did get dealt with. They might not have been sieged there for a moment, so we'll just take more of a look at that. They are kind of in range of this planetary, as one of them does siege up, but then unsieges, so interesting tank mechanics by BotTato. Yeah, 2 of them went home. The other 2 did get picked off by the bio of WickedBot, so good attack there. We are having the planetary have a mule dropped beside it. The mules say that's not in my job description, though, and is not going to repair the PF. SCVs are buying time for the Red Terran. These tanks have come back to help out, though, as WickedBot's drop is pushed away. It's not going to unload on those tanks, but in comes the rest of the bio. There's 3 Marines to buffer for all this. Their buffering will actually be very important, though, but WickedBot is still going to dive on top of the tanks and pick off 2 of them. The planetary is being repaired, though, so BotTato holds on to that. That's massively important. The production, though, of the Red Terran is just not there. BotTato isn't floating money or anything like that. It's just on a lower economy than its opponent. It's producing 1 tank at a time, and deciding to attack is not the move right now. And this is why having sort of dynamic engagement choices is a common thing from bot authors. If you watch Xena's games, if you watch Micro Machines games, you'll constantly see them go, whoa, 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 never mind, and start retreating. Now, BotTato's defense is going to be tested, as we've got 2 medivacs dropping inside the main base. This is a very exposed location, and the production of BotTato is not something that can be afforded to be lost, as there's just not that many units for BotTato. We'll see if WickedBot goes for a 1-2 punch, and it is loading more units into medivacs as this drop commences inside the main base. There's just, yeah, BotTato's struggling to deal with this, and that's because there's more medivacs unloading at the natural. Those ones do get dealt with for the most part, but the main base has to lift off. The Red Terran's production is just abysmal in this game, as it's just being... WickedBot just has so much more stuff than its opponent. The income is just massively in favor of the Blue Terran, and now we're seeing this attempt at a critical 5th base being shut down by the drops. As soon as WickedBot started dropping, things really started to look up here, and it looks like this will be dealt with, but the unit movement of BotTato, it's not quite fluid enough to react to these drops. We do still have 4 bases. There's a chance in that the Red Terran can maybe get out enough tanks, but it's not producing any right now. It's just building Marines and a Viking, so more tanks would definitely be good. There is a high number of Vikings, which can definitely help out in a situation like this by picking off the medivacs. BotTato just needs to stay in range of its tanks, and so far it's doing an okay job of that, as we see the Marines are not being pulled too far forward. The Vikings even landing to help out. The tanks are inching forward. It's 200 supply against 100. This is going to be a tight defense, as we see more Marines rolling on in for WickedBot. The Marauders there too. It's 2-2 against 1-1. The tanks are shelling away for BotTato, and they do deal with the ground army, but I mean, now it's even lost all its Vikings, so it no longer controls the skies. We look at WickedBot's side of the map. There's 20 Marines being produced at a time. Extra command centers going up, but it's not the painful to see like ton of extra command centers, which I'm very happy about. BotTato holds on for now. I'm not sure what it's holding on to wait for, though, as it's just producing SCVs. It's getting out another eBay right now, and yeah, unit production is just not quite high enough. As SCVs are being produced, they have to be rebuilt, as of course some have been dying this game. 72 have died. That's probably why BotTato is just struggling here. We do get an anti-armor missile on the bio. That's a nice touch, but there's nothing really to deal with that. The 3rd base is being forced off by WickedBot. The Marines are stimming in. They will deal with the last few tanks, and as the tanks go down, there goes the hope for BotTato. So incredibly well done by WickedBot. It's just drops and economy does it very, very well, and it had a lead since the start of this game, and BotTato just wasn't able to come back due to its poorer economy. And yeah, this is a good example of how economic greed can be a very powerful thing in bot matches, how sort of cheese responses can be over the top for both human players and bots. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to program, but yeah. Really nicely done by WickedBot. Drops going on. More bases being taken. And yeah, lots of mules dropping. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, click that like button. Leave a comment down below if you want to see more of BotTato and WickedBot, as these two are very fun to watch bots. The new build of WickedBot seems like a great opening based on how BotTato reacted to it, so that's something to pay attention to. And yeah, we'll just wait for this one. The Vikings notably not attacking, as they're kind of busy grouping up. I guess their primary focus is not to lose a Viking versus Viking war, but they definitely could be shooting right now at these command centers, which is interesting. That poor bot authors. So I was like, oh yeah, my bot's done awesome, and then of course other things are going to be pointed out, even if they win. That's just the pain of being a bot author. There's always something to improve, basically. A bot author's day is never done. And yeah, that is that for this one. GG.